One concept which will help your Maya journey so much is the concept of nodes. We've briefly alluded to this so far, but let's talk about it more, what it means. If you go to Window and Node Editor, now we get a view of nodes in the scene. Now we haven't created anything, so there aren't really anything here, but let's just dock this down here. So we can just move this here, and now we have the node editor down here, and we have the 3D view. So what we can do now is we can create a polygon cube. We are going to explain all this later on. Don't worry too much about the technicals for this. This is more of the theory behind it, but let's make a polygon cube for now. Now you can see what happens is that there are some nodes being created here. We have a general node which we can use to change the amount of segments. And then we have a shape node as well. Everything in Maya will have a shape node, but more on that later on. So now if we want to do some modeling on this guy, let's say we want to just bevel the edges here. Just select all the edges. Again, don't worry about how we're doing this. And just bevel it. Now you can see this created a bevel node. So now if we want to go in and change this later on, this is no longer selected. We haven't touched this in ages. We have a new cube. We move this out of the way. We can still go into this and we can change the bevel amount here. So we can still go in and we can change this up. This is really one of the clear powers of Maya as opposed to many other software, that everything is node-based. Now, if you don't understand this, Maya becomes very confusing. A lot of people assume that whenever you do something to the model, it's just kind of like a stack. It's almost like you have papers on top of each other, but it really doesn't work like that. It works based on nodes. It works based on, here's a cube, and now we add a bevel node to it. We can also add select this one. We can also extrude it up, and this adds an extrude node. You can't really do anything in Maya without actually adding a node. So for instance, if we also now want to add a shader to this, like a material to it, we can now right click, add favorite material, and just add a Lambert to it. And now you can see a Lambert node has been created here. So now we have a shader and we have a Lambert node assigned to it. And now we can change the color to this, and we now have our model. And since we have all these original attributes in the node, we can change them any one time. So now, for instance, if we want to change the width of this, we can change this back to maybe 1. And now it goes back to being just a single segment, or a single, just 1 by 1 by 1, like this, even though the extrude and the bevel still stays the way it is. We can change the height of it. We can change the depth. So this is a very non-destructive and very good way of working in Maya. Now, we're not going to be modeling like this. We really are not going to be using this node graph a whole lot. This is just to display how this actually works in this way. We can move this node, this guy up here as well, so it's a bit easier to see. And then on this guy, we can also assign a material. So we can add material, we can add a Lambert to it, and now you see another material has been assigned to this guy here. And at any time, we can go back and we can change any of this. There are of course a million exceptions because Maya being Maya, but in general, a really powerful way of working. And once you understand this, it's going to make your life so much easier. We'll have some more videos on this in the next one. We talk about the attribute editor. This is just a precursor to that, because if you don't understand that everything is node based, you will not understand the actual attribute editor or how anything works, and it's going to be impossible to troubleshoot anything later on. It might be a bit early to talk about these concepts, but we really just want you to understand that everything in Maya is node based. And this is what we're seeing as well when we go into the outliner. We go in here now and we go to display and DAG objects. What we're seeing now is we're seeing a visualization of all nodes in the scene just as a list. So now you can see we have polycube. It's the same thing here. We have this one and just select it here. We have the poly extrude face, and that's here. So everything we have done here is visualized in the actual outliner. And this is really one of the things which makes Maya so incredibly powerful. But whenever you add power to something like a software like this, you're also adding a little bit of complexity. It's incredibly hard to make something really easy to use, but also incredibly powerful. But yeah, once you understand this, everything in Maya is going to be a million times easier, and we'll keep referring to this throughout the series. If you didn't understand this properly now, that makes sense. You're very fresh to Maya, but we'll keep reaffirming these concepts throughout the entire series.